Yo, what is going on, everyone? It is Wraith here, back with another video. Now, in today's video, I'm going to be basically talking about how to transfer from controller to keyboard and mouse. And not only that, but if you just started keyboard and mouse and you just switched over, you just maybe got a new keyboard and mouse or whatever the case is, you just switched to PC. Basically, I'm going to be getting a bunch of tips for you guys as well. And I know this is kind of an older topic just because a lot of people, if they have most likely been grinding Fortnite, they've probably already switched. But hey, there's still tons of people who are switching, getting a PC, or just decided to maybe try out keyboard and mouse or whatever. So that video is for them. If you're looking forward to this video, make sure you slap a like button on it, comment what you want to see for a future video, hit that subscribe button, use creator code WraithFN in the item shop, and let's get into it. So for the first tip, and this is one of the most important ones when you just either switch over or just get a new keyboard and mouse or PC or whatever the case is you gotta make sure you choose optimal and solid keybinds as well as sensitivity. Now you might be asking, well, how do I find the proper keybind, sensitivity, blah, 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 especially if I'm just switching over, right? And there's multiple kind of things you can do, in my opinion, that can kind of help figure that out. So basically what I did was when I first switched over, I think it was like season 7, season 8, chapter 1, maybe season 6. Basically what I did is I looked up YouTube videos similar to this one and figured out the most optimal keybinds, which is basically an optimal keybinds basically means that you are using a finger for every different build bind and button. Like for example, you're not using your index finger for your cone as well as your floor, just because then that's not as optimal because it's going to take more time to swap before it. So you're basically using or trying to use every single finger on your hand. I'll leave a video or a link in the description down below to It's Jarian's video basically explaining optimal keybinds, because that would be a whole video by itself. So check out that video if you're uncertain about it. Or you can also kind of look at pro players nowadays like Mongrel, Booga, whoever the case is, and kind of emulate their senses. And you obviously don't have to do the exact same sense, exact same keybind as them, but you can kind of take a little bit of each person. Like for example, back then I used a little bit of Tfu's as well as Mongrel's binds, as well as a little bit of my own, which I'll talk about in a bit. But in my opinion, make sure you're choosing optimal keybinds, as well as the fact that you're kind of alternating towards pro keybinds. Again, you don't have to, but that's just kind of how I figured mine out. So once you figured out your keybinds and your sensitivity, and it doesn't have to be set in stone yet, like you can still change it, you want to start practicing your mechanics, because hopefully you've already played some controller, you already have somewhat game sense. If you're just hopping on keyboard and mouse and you've never played Fortnite before, you're still going to want to practice your mechanics, because mechanics, in my opinion, are one of the most, if not the most important thing in Fortnite. And if you don't know what mechanics is, that's your aiming, your building, as well as your editing. So basically you're going to want to work on that, and the main thing you're going to want to work on and focus on is in creative. So some things that you can do, in my opinion, is find aiming maps. If you don't know aiming maps, you can literally just look up creative aiming maps on YouTube, or you can check out my video on how to improve your aiming. Some editing maps. Editing maps, in my opinion, aren't the best, but they're really good just to kind of start working on your edits. Like if you can barely edit, obviously they're pretty solid. Once you become a better editor, in my opinion, they're not as good. But basically just start off with them, do some edit courses, same thing, just look up edit courses on YouTube or watch my video. Free building, in my opinion, is going to be one of the best things that you can do. That's how basically every single person switched over to keyboard and mouse. And if you don't know what free building is, it's basically going to an empty map and you literally just build. You try doing different builds, you try placing a cone above your head, editing the cone, try doing side jumps, try editing when you're building. Obviously, it's going to take a lot of time and it's going to be a really big process just because you're not used to using that many fingers on your hand as well as moving your mouse around. So it's just going to be really weird, but just keep at it. The more you do it, the better you're going to get. But in my opinion, free building is probably the best kind of thing you can do at this stage of the game. And what you want to be looking forward to and kind of for is basically if your sense and if your keybinds feel good. If your sense feels a little bit too fast, change it up. Like change it a little bit slower. If it feels too slow, boost it up a little bit more. I'd recommend around 400 to 800 DPI. You can do a little bit higher, but in my opinion, that's just kind of what majority of people do. Same thing with your keybinds. When you're free building and you're editing and stuff like that, if your editing and keybinds don't feel good, just switch it up. Try different things. Right now is where you try different things to kind of find out what works best for you and if you want to change anything. So the next thing you're going to want to do is once you start getting a little bit better with your editing, your aim, like you can actually move around, you can free build a little bit, is you're going to want want to start practicing fighting. Now, in my opinion, don't even go into solos, don't go into duos, trios, squads. Obviously, you can if you want to just screw around with your friends, but just to get better as quick as possible, don't even touch arena yet. Basically, you want to start fighting in creative, and the best way to do that is clicks box fight fills. You can play around with your buddies and literally just free build against each other and do 1v1 box fights, build fights, and obviously, you're most likely not going to be at that level yet, but play some zone wars, play like just some simple things. In my opinion, the best thing you can do is kind of play with your buddies. That way, like, they don't, and just tell them, like, they should know you just switched to keyboard and mouse. So maybe don't go like absolutely insane try hard on you, but either play with your buddies, play some zone wars, play some box fight fills. There's a bunch of things in creative nowadays that you can kind of do to get better. So just slowly start working on your fighting. This probably you probably won't do this for a bit, just because obviously you want to kind of get the free building down, get the editing, get the aiming down first. But then once you start feeling a little bit more confident, then start bringing into the fighting. So basically next, and this is the part where you should be somewhat confident. Obviously you don't have to be really, really good yet. You don't have to be solid at all, but this is where you kind of want to be confident with your sensitivity, your keybinds. You want to be like, hey, I feel pretty good with these. I'm going to kind of start sticking with them. You can still change it, but basically you want to kind of let it settle. You want to, the more you practice with those specific keybinds, the more you practice with that sense without changing it, the better you're going to feel. So at this point, you kind of want to stop changing it around. You should be pretty settled, but now you can start feeling, once you get a little bit more comfortable, to start going into pubs a little bit more, especially solos. So basically you can play some pubs, play with your buddies. It's going to help you, but if you really want to get better as quick as possible, play solos, because it's basically going to put a lot of pressure on you. It's going to be really frustrating, trust me. I remember playing solos when I first played on keyboard and mouse. One of my first videos, I think like my third or fourth video or something like that, was literally my first win on keyboard, and it took me like 2 or 3 weeks, I think, like that. It was like a 7-kill win or something like that, and it was just terrible. But hey, like, it takes a long time. Like, it's not just going to come instantaneously. But basically start playing some solos, because it's going to put more pressure on you. With duos, trios, squads, you can get bailed out a little bit more. I'm not saying don't play them, but it's kind of whatever you want to do, whatever pace you want to take it. In my opinion, still do zone wars, still do clicks box fights, do those a ton. The more you do it, the more comfortable you're going to feel, similar to solos, as well as you're getting more fighting practicing. With solos, you're only fighting 1 to 2 people every like couple of minutes. With box fights and zone wars, you're fighting people literally every couple of seconds. So in my opinion, just doing a little bit mix of both is really, really good. And like I said, at this point, you shouldn't really be changing your keybinds or your sensitivity. If you need to, it's okay, but just kind of start trying to stick with one right now. So now at this point of the video, you should hopefully be somewhat decent. Like, you can hold your own in a fight. You can kind of maybe get 3 or 4 kills in a solo, something like that, and then you do decent in duos and trios. If you're not there yet, again, I know you want to rush and I know you want to get better, but in my opinion, just kind of stick with the solo, stick with the zone or stuff like that. It's worse for you to rush it and kind of start playing against better people, because you're just not going to get better. It's just a little bit frustrating. Plus, you're going to get pissed off. You're not going to want to play, etc., etc. So in my opinion, once you get to that level and you start feeling a little bit more comfortable, then you can kind of slowly start getting into your kind of normal routine. You can start kind of playing a little bit of arena here, there. In my opinion, if you are on controller and you're in Champions League or Contenders, I would highly recommend creating an alt account. If you don't know what an alt account is, basically you create a whole new Fortnite account. I think you have to be level like 10 before you can play arena, but just play a couple solos on that new account and then hop into arena. I know a lot of people might be like, oh, don't smurf, blah, blah, blah. In my opinion, smurfing, especially if you're smurfing like and you're really, really good, it's not the best thing in the world. Like, if you're playing on controller and you're playing with 0-point arena players, well, it's a little bit unfair, obviously. But if you're not very good on keyboard and mouse, and it's completely no big deal, in my opinion, to go on an alt and start playing, you might drop like 4, 5, 6 kill games, but it's going to be against kids who are kind of your level, because you're going to be at 0 points or 100 points or whatever the case is. So you're going to be doing a lot better and improving a lot more than fighting champions players. Because think about it, if you're in champions, contenders, whatever the case is, and you were on controller, now you switch to keyboard and mouse, you're going to be absolutely ran through. Like, you might win 1 in 15 fights, but are you really getting better by doing that? No, not really, right? So in my opinion, create an alt, play on that alt, and then keep doing the zone wars, keep doing pubs, keep doing that stuff, and just keep playing and trying to improve your mechanics as much as possible. Obviously, if you've never played the game before, you're going to want to practice your game sense as well, but that comes all kind of with time, with fighting. Check out my game sense video. But yeah, that's basically it for today's video. Hopefully that, guys, kind of helps you out if you just switch over to keyboard and mouse, or you're thinking of doing it. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you slap a like button on it, comment what you want to see for a future video, hit that subscribe button, use security code WraithFN in the item shop, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.